saying we are discussing functional classifications of the city, and functions are services. Yes, Alina, what you were saying? Yes, what you were saying?
So like education, administrative activities.
Yes, education, administration, yes, health facilities, and other services, goods and services. Okay. So how city grows by these functions? How city grows by these functions? Yes.
Sir, by attracting more population?
Yes, by attracting more population, more. If you are providing a function to someone, a city is providing a function to nearby areas, what is the return of that? Yes. What is the return? Yes, money. Money are some services in return. Are services, are some resource, are some expertise. Yes. And it comes to the city. The city which was providing the functions, it comes to the city. Money, services, expertise, resource, talent. Big city attracts talents. Yes. Big city attract people with skills, people with higher skills, isn't it? If you have a higher skill, if you have an expertise in something, where you go? You normally go to a big city, a big urban center. So city, and if you go to a city, when you go to Delhi, there is a special tendency when you go to a big city. Yes. You spend more. If you go to a city, you spend more. More than you were spending at your place. You spend more, isn't it? And you take auto rickshaw, you take taxi, you take all other services, all the non-basic functions. These are the non-basic functions. What are non-basic functions? Non-basic functions are the functions in which cities doesn't give you any tangible goods. What are tangible goods? What are tangible and intangible? Yes. What are tangible and intangible? Yes. What are tangible goods? What is tangibility? Yes, Bugda, what is tangible? Yes.
So something we can touch and feel.
Yes, something you can, something physical. Okay, that is tangible. And if it is tangible, it is mainly basic function. It's not very hard and fast, but if it is non-tangible, it is non-basic function. And city, it is said that city grows by, there is a theory, city grows by non-basic functions. Okay, we are not going into detail of this, but city grows by the functions they provide. And, the bigger the city, the more functions they provide to its citizens, to its residents, and to nearby urban or rural centers. City provides services to its citizen, its residents, and to nearby rural or urban centers. Rural are urban centers, to urban settlements, nearby settlements, rural or urban settlements. So it grows by this these services. So Chancey D. Harris believed that the basis of the city classification. What is classification? Can anyone tell me what is classification? Can you define classification? What we do in classifying things? Yes. What is classification? What we do in classification? Yes. Yes, Manish. Why we classify things and what we do in classifying things? Yes. Yes, Manish.
Sir, sir,
Yes, Aman.
we categorize.
Yes.
Sir, we categorize thing on some certain basis or
Certain parameters, certain characteristics.
So to get idea at a glance.
Yes, yes, and we classify. Sometimes we classify things for administrative purposes. We're classifying cities on administrative purposes or for educational purposes to study. If you classify cities, it's easier to study. It's easier to inquire about the things. Okay, so Chancey D. Harris in 1943. 1943, Chancey D. Harris classified cities, and he has given a functional classification of cities, and he classified cities on some criterion: employment figures. Yes, and occupation. Employment figures are how many persons are employed or unemployed. And Chancey D. Harris took big cities only, big urban centers, or big urban settlements, big settlements. And the criterion of big was not very big. It was the population more than 10,000. 10,000 was a big figure in 1943. He excluded the urban settlements which were having a population of less than 10,000. So he took urban settlements of because he was talking about cities, and we call cities normally we call cities the urban settlements which are more than 10,000, which having more than 10,000 population. So he took mainly two criterion. Those were employment and occupational figures. So and he took these datas and he took cities on the basis of manufacturing cities. He classified cities into manufacturing cities. What is manufacturing? Yes. Yes, what is manufacturing? Yes. What is manufacturing? Manufacturing is? Yes.
Sir, turning the goods from primary sector.
Yes,
To
primary,
the
the produce of a primary activity is converted into something valuable, something useful. So that is the activity of manufacturing. So if a minimum percentage of people are engaged in manufacturing, we can say that if the town's dominating activity is dominating occupation is manufacturing, then uh, Chansey D. Harris classified those cities in manufacturing. And then another classification, another type of cities he called retailing. What is retailing? Can anyone tell me what is retailing? Yes. Yes. What is retailing? Yes. Can anyone tell me what is retailing? Retail functions. Retail.
So where the manufactured finished goods are sold.
Yeah, are sold directly to the consumer. There are two types of selling: wholesaling and retailing. He has classified into wholesaling category also. Wholesaling is the big store, big distributors store store goods on a large basis, on a big basis, in large quantities, and they sell these products to wholesalers. Retailers. Wholesalers sell products to. Wholesalers store goods on a big basis. A big quantity. And they sell it to retailers. And these retailers sell the goods to the consumers, individual consumers. So, according to Chansey D. Harris, if the dominant activity of the settlement is wholesaling, then he classified these cities as wholesaling cities, and if it is the dominant activity is retailing, then it is retailing city. Can you give any example of a wholesaling city? Yes. Yes, Tejas. Yes, Tejas. Can you give any example of wholesaling city? Yes. These are called mandis. Have you heard the name mandi? In India, they are called actually mandis. Like in very near to you, Hapur, Delhi. In this, Delhi has multiple functions, but Hapur is predominantly a mandi.
Sir, APMC, sir.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, APMC. Sir, APMCs.
Yes. Okay. So.
Sir, these are kind of mandis, sir.
Yes. I got it. Some Sahkari mandis are also created by government. So, if the dominant activity is wholesaling, then it is called the wholesaling city. If the dominant activity is dominant commercial selling and buying is to the individual customers, the city is called retailing city. Okay, this is M. He has given some letters to some abbreviations or some letter to the like retailing is R, wholesaling is W. Uh, so he and we were talking about diversifying. If the if there is no dominant function of the city, the diversifying city, a diverse city, that is D. So, like Delhi is a diversifying city. We diversify. Rather, we should write a diversified city. Diversified functions, many functions. He denoted the diversified cities as D. You cannot decide which functions is dominating. All the functions almost in the same proportion. So he called them the complex diversified cities. He created another criterion for that, another type for that. So it is diversifying cities, diversified cities. And he has given another is transport cities. Transport cities denoted by T. What are the transport cities? Yes. Yes. If the function is transportation, then it's transport cities. Yes. Yes. If the dominant activity is transport, if the city is a transport hub, like can you give any example of a transport hub city? Yes. Can you give any example? Yes.
Sir, New York.
Yes, New York, yes. In India, I think Mughal Sarai is a transport city. It's a transport hub. No other big activity is there. It caters to the railways. It's a railway hub. Perhaps some name has changed of Mughal Sarai. Earlier name was is Mughal Sarai. Itarsi in India. Itarsi is a big railway junction. So these are many cities are there. Delhi is also a transport hub, but Delhi is classified normally into diversified because there are many functions and you cannot decide which is the dominant function. And Harris was relying on dominant function, dominant occupation of the city. Then he given another type, mining city. Mining city. So mining city, where the dominant activity was mining, and he given at the S. S. So, can you name any example of? Can you give any example of mining city? Yes. Can you give any example of mining city?
Aligarh.
Yes, yes. Dhanbad. The many where the mining is the dominant activity, the dominant commercial or economic activity or occupational activity actually is mining, then the city is classified as mining city. Then he has taken another subtype that was educational city. Can you give any example of educational city? Can you give any example of educational city? Yes.
Aligarh.
Yes, Aligarh is a, and in ancient times Takshila was an educational city. Yes, isn't it? And another criterion he added, resort or retirement city where people live for relaxing. Can you give any example of, and he has given the X later. You have to remember mining, S is mining, and resort cities X. So all the other are very easy. First letter of the type, but this you have to remember. Okay. And is given any in one other one criterion other, and is given the letter P to that other, where which cannot fit any of these subtypes, that was other. So many the hardest classification suffers from many defects. It's not an absolute one, it's not very acceptable one. He used metropolitan districts as functional units. Because why? Because the data for metropolitan district was available that time, not for others. And the cities which were very small were unclassified, because he has taken only the cities which population of which cities was more than 10,000. One social scientist was Carter. He labeled Harris's classification as subjective. It's not. He said that it's not objective. And because he used the data, the subjective data. For example, he said that under class of transport and communications, workers engaged in telephone and telegraph services were omitted. According to Carter, it was a subjective decision. You getting me or not? Yes.